What's up, guys? It's your girl Kia, and I am back for another video. And I am back for a very interesting video. Today, we are talking about Unknown Number, the high school catfishing story. So this is a very interesting story, and I honestly don't remember the actual story, but I remember the mugshot of the person who did this. And just in advance, you will hear children in the background because it has been a long Labor Day, and they're home, and they are driving me crazy. But anyway. So the story starts in a small town in, I want to say, Michigan. And I have a few notes over here. Let me just make sure that it is Michigan. Yes, it is Michigan, Beale City, Michigan. And this city is really interesting because it is a very small town. So when they showed the school, it was elementary, middle school, one side of the school, high school on the other side. So these kids start from the very beginning of life with each other all the way to high school. Everybody knows each other. All the parents are friends. It is literally the definition of a tight knit community. So in this community lives Lauren Licari and Owen McKinney. And these two kids started dating. And when I say kids, they're babies. They start dating when they're like in the eighth grade and try to date through when they're in the ninth grade. But they are literal children. Out of nowhere, they get a really nasty text from an unknown number. They both brush it off. They have no idea why they're getting this nasty text. Nobody cares. A year later, fast forward to a year, they are now getting relentless amounts of texts, up to 50 texts a day at first. And it starts to become overwhelming because these texts aren't just, you're stupid, you suck, I hate you on the basketball team. These are hardcore, vulgar text messages telling Lauren to do self harm, that Owen doesn't like her anymore because she's not giving him sex, just completely inappropriate stuff. And Lauren is very despondent and she's asking Owen, who is sending me this? He has no idea. And now the texts get more aggressive. Now the parents are getting involved because the parents want to know what in the world is going on. Why are my children receiving this text messages? And this is where it spirals into craziness, is when the parents get involved, because that's how it happens with everything, whether it's little league sports, relationships, whatever. Once the parents get involved, it spirals. But in this case, I get why the parents got involved. I mean, your kid is being harassed by somebody you guys don't know, and they're sending, messages about sex and getting wet and, I effing hate you. They're really, really nasty, aggressive texts. So as this goes on, and it goes on for a very long time, it goes on for a little over a year, and with all kinds of messages. And the sender is using an app that blocks their number, so no one knows who it's coming from. But now everybody is starting to try to be their own detectives and try to figure it out. The school is consistently checking on Owen and Lauren to make sure that they're just okay. I mean, these are two children. Even though they're in high school now, they're two children who are dealing with really, really nasty messages. And after a while, Lauren and Owen break up. The parents of Lauren are really concerned because she's getting the most of the messages. And the parents of Owen are really concerned because they don't know why he's getting it, and they're starting to get concerned because it's just a lot for two little kids to deal with. And now the school is pulling them in, asking that they're okay, check-ins, and eventually the police get involved. And after nearly 2 years of harassment, the parents are now accusing the other kids. So it first starts off with, Lauren and Owen, and then the next person accused is a girl named Chloe. And Chloe is saying, I didn't do this. I would never do this. This isn't me. And what happens in the story is kind of interesting because here is when we realize, let me back up for a little bit. Owen and Lauren break up. And they thought breaking up would stop the messages and slow everything down. And that is not at all what happened. It kept the messages going. It kept being more vulgar. And now what's happening is that the sender is now telling Lauren, he's ours now. He's never yours. He never liked you. He hates you. You should unalive yourself. Like really nasty messages. Owen's getting a few, and Owens are just like, you should hate her. She's awful, this and that. Just saying really, again, I keep saying awful over and over again because there's no way to describe them. And because it's YouTube, I can't even read what the text says because my channel would get taken down. That's how nasty these messages are. So if you want to go read them, I'm pretty sure you can look them up online. There's no reason for you to read them. So after they break up, the parents are now trying to figure out if it could be somebody in their friend circle. So the first person they accuse of is Chloe. Now, Chloe has a very interesting history. Chloe is a bully, But Chloe's parents don't want to admit that she is a bully, and Chloe doesn't want to admit to it she's a bully. Chloe is trying to downplay it as she just says mean things occasionally or does mean things once in a while. But Chloe is a bully that no one wants to admit that she's a bully. And again, as an adult watching this, I get why her parents don't want to label her that. But when you hear about things she said and how she has dealt with other girls, you can see, oh, you're that girl. And the reason why Chloe was picked out was because one of the text messages, because Lauren is on the basketball team, one of the text messages said, "Oh, you didn't score any points. You should have scored 12 points." Well, they looked up who scored 12 points in the last game, and it was Chloe. And Chloe is a power forward. Shout out to all the power forwards. So Chloe's a bigger girl. And again, as someone who's tall, because I am tall, I'm 6 feet, Chloe's a big girl. I feel like she's one of those girls who realize that I'm kind of big. People may think I'm overweight. So I got to prove not only am I power forward on the basketball team, but I'm also a power forward and I will get in your butt anytime I need to. You're not going to talk bad about me. And she, again, I think she's a bully. Her parents don't want to believe it, but she is now getting harassed by the other teammates who think that it's her. And she is adamantly saying that it is her. And they were looking at the where the messages were pinging off from. And they were pinging off of Florida when she went on vacation with her parents to Florida. So her dad, who's a police officer, finally just said, just get your phone dumped. You need to get your phone dumped so that we can figure out if this is you or not. Like, we believe you. And her parents are interrogating her, and that's really breaking Chloe down. And I feel bad that she had to go through this with her own parents because at home, you should feel protected by your parents. But I think this got so bad that parents just didn't know what to do. But they dumped her phone, all of it. And there's no hidden messenger apps. There's no connection to Owen. There's absolutely nothing going on. So then they start to think who else could be connected, and they're still trying to go through it. Well, Owen then receives a random photo that was taken in his car of like a black phone case and a couple other things. And when Owen's mom sees it, she's like, well, this had to be taken when we were at Thanksgiving, but only family and friends were invited to Thanksgiving. It wasn't anybody we didn't know, it was just family and friends. And that brings up the next person, Adriana. Adriana is another kid in the class who also had an issue with Chloe because Chloe bullied her, even though Chloe tried to downplay it, and her parents were like, oh, it's come to find out Adriana was lying. It was never proven that Adriana was lying. This is what the parents are saying. But Adriana is Owen's cousin, and she was at that Thanksgiving. So now she's getting drilled down, and now she's getting accused, and she's like, I don't know what's going on. I would never do this. Why do you guys think that I did this? I didn't do this. And she's getting emotional. And I feel so bad for all these little kids because they're all in a really messed up game of who done it or Clue, and they're children with children emotions. And they're getting blamed for some pretty nasty adult stuff and they don't know how to handle it. And I praise God that none of these kids committed self-harm, that they all just kind of tried to, it's me now. I'm getting accused. Cool. Let me get my phone up. Let me answer these questions so they don't accuse me anymore. You know? So in the meantime, Owen now starts dating another girl in the city, one city over, you know, two towns over, like it's some small town. And that girl he really liked, all of a sudden out of nowhere, her mother starts getting text messages. And as soon as Owen hears the girl say, well, we're getting this random text message, he knew exactly what it meant. He knew what time it was. He knew that now that person was back and they are now getting involved. And he didn't want to put the mom of the girl and the girl that he really liked through it. So he basically kind of broke it off with her and didn't talk to her anymore. And I guess that girl's messages stopped. Now, Owen's mom, Jill, is getting super upset. I mean, they show body cam footage of her in the principal's office because the police are now coming there on a regular basis. And she is despondent. You know, she's noticing that in the basketball court, Owen is becoming more aggressive. He is taking his anger out on anybody. He is short-tempered. He is scared. And the mom, like most moms would be, are like, what do I do? How do I handle this? And again, as a mom of a teenager, well, he's 20 now, and two little kids, I wouldn't know what to do in this situation. This is terrifying that your child is being stalked. Not just bothered occasionally, your child is being stalked. The messages went from 50 a day to almost 100 a day of messages. Again, and we're still with the same cussing, vulgarity, anger, hate, just vile stuff coming out of this person. So she's like, we need to figure it out. I need help from somebody. Enter FBI liaison for this state, I guess, Brandon. He was like, well, just give me your son's phone, give me all the data and contact from the phone, and I will see what I can do. So through his race research capabilities, he's able to figure out Great. Through his research capabilities, he's able to figure out that all of the messages are coming from two IP addresses. And your IP address is what's attached to your actual like house or your office. That is what has an IP address, or the Starbucks has an IP address. And there were only two IP addresses where all these messages were coming from. He then goes through all the contacts, and only one contact kept coming up. Drum roll, please. Guess who it is? Kendra Lakari, the mother of Lauren, the girl that at the beginning of the documentary was dating Owen. So this was another mother who was doing this. And Brandon is shocked, the FBI liaison, and Jill is like, well, no, it couldn't be Kendra because she's been helping me this the entire time. And spoiler alert, Kendra has been in this documentary the entire time. She has been front and center, talking about her daughter's experience, worrying about her daughter, helping Jill, all this kind of stuff. And Jill is an active member of the PTA. She's the girls' basketball coach, which comes into play later. And she's an active member of the community. So people, the police officer, sheriff is stunned. But they were like, okay, this is what it's showing. We have to go get her phones. And they go to her house, and she's coming on the side of the house, and they're like, we have to talk to you. They take her inside, and I thought that she was just going to keep denying it. I would have taken this to my grave. I don't care what they would have said. They could have pulled me, put me in a lie detector test, took blood work, took my fingerprints on the phone, whatever. I would have lied about this, and she didn't. But she's being really weird about it. And they're like, well, how did this start? Is there an obsession with Owen? She's like, no, no, no. It's not like that. Well, they're like, why did you send these messages? She's like, well, I didn't send the first messages. Well, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I started sending the other messages. And they bring her daughter in. And now her daughter and her are sitting next to each other. And as soon as the daughter comes in, the mom immediately latches on to the daughter. It's almost like she was trying to hug her close enough to cover the daughter's ears so she wouldn't hear what the sheriff was saying. But the sheriff tells her, your mom is the one sending these messages. The messages are telling you to unalive yourself and that you're an anorexic S word or slut. I guess I'm going to say slut. All these things, that you're a whore and all these things. Your mother is sending you those messages. And Lauren looks catatonic, and I would say the word is stoic, but she looks like all of the color has now drained out of her skin, which is very hard to do for a white child. But she really looks very, I don't know what to say or do. And now I'm sitting here and now my mother is hugging on me, but it's my mom. I have no idea what to do. And she doesn't say anything. Honestly, during this entire interaction with the police, she doesn't say anything. She's just sitting there. And finally, they're like, well, listen, we have to leave. We have what we need, but we can't leave you in this kind of situation. They don't want to leave two people alone. In, in this type of situation, meaning it could get volatile as soon as they leave. So they're like, we got to call your husband, Sean, because he needs to be here. I don't know why calling Sean is what they thought they would do that was going to settle the situation or calm it down, but they call Sean. So they call Sean, they let him know. He's shocked. Sean comes home and they start giving him kind of more information. And they say something like, yeah, and then she was let go from Ferris. And he goes, what do you mean she was let go from Ferris? Ferris is a university. She had told Sean that she had quit Ferris. Come to find out that she was fired from Ferris. But some people believe that she never worked there at all. So he's now getting all of this rapid fire information, and he's not sure what to do. So he goes into the house. His daughter is there. His wife is there. Who will you guys will hear my thoughts on her at the end of this. And he asked her point blank, did you ever work at Ferris? What is going on? What's up with your job? So she's like, I got fired from there. And he's like, you got fired from there? What about the job in Texas? I got fired from there at the same time. And he is shocked and pour one out for a real one, because Sean didn't play no games. He wasn't like, well, the police need to leave. We need to talk about it. He was like, no, you need to go. You don't stay here no more. You got to get out of this house. You don't live anymore. And she's like, well, no, what about my daughter? What about your daughter? You didn't care anything about your daughter when you were sending her disgusting messages talking about she should unalive herself. But now all of a sudden it's, I'm a good mom and I love you so much. And she kept trying to hug her and touch her and pet her hair. And her daughter is not really intercepting the hugs and the embrace. Like, she's kind of just sitting there and leaning into her mom because her mom's holding her. But in reality, I can see she's just kind of like, I wish you would let me go, but I don't know what to do. And you're my mom, and I turn to you for everything. But she kept saying she's not going to leave. She's not going to leave. And Sean was like, you need to call your parents. You need to go. And she wouldn't. So he's like, I'll call your parents. And he called her parents and comes back and says, your parents are on your way. So they're coming. And she still was like, I don't want to leave. Give me one second. And that's kind of the end of that scene. But Sean is very heartbroken, and it ends up coming out later that uh, Kendra had been lying about a lot of things. Their finances, they had been evicted from several homes. She wasn't paying the bills. And of course, in her defense, because again, she's in this documentary, she's saying, well, Sean knew about the finances too. We were always kind of in a hole, blah, blah, blah. It's not just my fault. But listen, as a woman in my house who handles the finances, and most of the women I know handle the finances, we have control on what gets paid. Our husbands make the money. We make money too, but our husbands make the money. We see the bank account. We pay the bills. And we know what bills do get paid and what doesn't get paid. And we try to get caught up. And I get being behind, but for her to say that this wasn't her fault, I don't believe it. I believe the bills were her fault and these things were happening because of her. I don't think, like her sister said, I don't think she ever worked at Ferris. I don't think she's had a job in a really long time. And the cops explain why. So, anyway, now all the parents start finding out. And all the kids start finding out. Is it being on Instagram and trending that the Kendra is the one who did all of this? And people are stunned and they are shocked and they can't believe that a parent would do this. The principal of the school is like, what? A parent did this? A parent? You're telling me a parent did this? And, she ends up, my daughter's screaming because she's running around like crazy. She ends up getting charged and she ends up going to court for 5 counts of felony stalking. And she is convicted. And she's actually banned from seeing her daughter. And her daughter lives in her. And a lot of people just want to know, like, why did she do this? And she ends up getting 19 months in jail for felony stalking. And at the sentencing, she said she's sorry, but nobody really believes that she's sorry. And she is banned from being with her daughter. Like I said a little bit ago, I had to take a quick break to deal with some kid stuff, but she's banned from seeing her daughter, who lives in her house. She's not in the home, and her and Sean are divorced. Like he did not play the radio; they are no longer together. And Jill and other women, people, and other moms and parents got up in the sentencing to just ask her why. They're never going to get a real reason about why. And just to circle back to why, Kendra says her reasoning is because that her daughter was growing up and she had gone through a really bad SA situation and that she didn't want her daughter to go through what she went through. It's all a bag of BS. It's a bag of BS. And I will talk about some of this stuff a little bit towards the end, but it ends up being where none of these kids really talk to each other anymore. She served her time. She's out. She has weekly calls with her daughter 2 times a week, but she's not actually allowed to be with her daughter because her daughter is still technically a child. And the town just is still kind of recovering from this huge scandal. And it was definitely awful. So let's get into my thoughts and some things that I thought of. So talking to Kendra's sister, who's in the documentary, Kendra was always starved for attention and wanted to be the center of attention. And I think what happened, and people can drop in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong. I think once Kendra had a daughter, like here's the thing with being pregnant. When you're pregnant, you are the center of attention. When you first get married, you're the bride, you're the center of attention. Even when you're a newlywed, you're still the center of attention to your husband. Then you get pregnant, now you're the center of attention to your whole family because they're excited. Then the baby gets here, and you're no longer center of attention. And let's be real, Kendra is not an attractive woman. A lot of people are posting on TikTok that she looks like Quasimodo, and she does. She's got a weak chin, she's got unfortunate teeth, she's not an attractive woman. But her daughter is the epitome of a Disney princess. She's blonde haired, blue eyed, sweet, petite, little girl, a cute little thing. And I think when Kendra had her, and then that beautiful little girl started getting more attention, Kendra realized, okay, I'll never be center of anything ever again, and started to have some kind of internal crisis. Then her daughter starts getting the boyfriend like Owen. And Owen is handsome for a teenage boy, and a boy that probably would have never looked Kendra's way in high school. And she, I think, got an infatuation with him and was obsessed with him. And when Owen is looking back on everything, he's like, well, she was always at my games, even after me and Lauren broke up. That's creepy. There is no reason why a parent should be at your games after you break up with a girl. That's weird. She was always texting him, even after him and Lauren broke up. She actually had cut his meat one time while they were together. All of this is giving it a natural closeness that should not be happening between a mom and her child's boyfriend. unless the mom, again, is dealing with some jealousy. Your daughter's getting all the attention and you want some attention. And you took your hatred of your daughter or your jealousy out of your daughter through disgusting text messages trying to make her feel bad about herself so that she felt as bad about herself as you did. And that's really sick. And they were calling it digital Munchausen's, but I don't even think it's digital Munchausen's. I think that Kendra was just jealous of her daughter, you know? And her daughter is living this beautiful, wonderful life as this popular girl on the basketball team and doing all these things. Another reason why I think the mom tried to insert herself to school, she's always around her daughter. There's a natural closeness. Her daughter plays basketball. Now she becomes a volunteer basketball coach. So she's adjacent to everything that her daughter does. So when people praise her daughter, they have to naturally praise the mom. And that's really, really sad. The next thing I wanted to bring up is Chloe. Chloe's a bully and her parents need to wrap their brains around it. They're trying to make it seem like Chloe is not a bully and that she was just targeted in the situation. And yes, she was targeted in this situation. And she shouldn't have been. None of these kids should have been because an adult did this. But they need to admit that that girl has been really mean and nasty to some people and that she didn't get targeted by this whole thing out of nowhere. They didn't select her for possibly being the person behind all this out of nowhere. It was literally because she is being nasty to other kids. The other thing is that Kendra should have been arrested for child pornography. Why do I say that? Those messages were disgusting. You were asking your daughter about giving oral sex and getting wet and sex and sexual positions. You are emailing this constantly to this little girl, to both of these children who are 14 and 13 at the time. There was no reason for anybody, mom, random adult, other kid, to be talking to a child like this. And I'm not sure why they didn't put child pornography on here because this would have been a random man. If this would have been a random man in the days of Chris Hansen, Chris Hansen would have popped out and been like, come have a seat. Let's have a conversation. Did you write this to her? And like, oh yeah, I was just being mean to see her. No, it's inappropriate. You can't, I mean, it's not enticement because I don't think the reason was enticement. And maybe that's why they didn't charge her, but she definitely should have gotten charged with that. I don't think Kendra should ever be around her daughter. I don't think her daughter is safe around her. I don't think her daughter will ever be able to be confident and secure as a young woman around her. And, you know, even seeing her now in the documentary, her personality is so just flat. There is no emotion there. There's no light there. There's no anything there. And I don't know if that's because it could be because of her mother. And her dad he's a man. He's doing the best he can with a daughter. And I feel like all little girls need their mom because your mother is who should give you your light, your personality, that femininity, that fun, that style. I give it to my daughter. My mother gave it to me. You know, her mother gave it to her. And she doesn't have that right now. She just kind of has to, be whatever her dad can help her be at this moment, especially after such a tragic event. And so, you know, I I really feel bad for Lauren. I feel bad for Owen. I feel bad for kind of all the kids who kind of got drug in this. I don't feel bad for Kendra. She wants you to feel bad for her, but there's no reason to feel bad for you, Kendra. You did not have to do this. You know, she claims that the original messages weren't her. And here's my theory. I don't think the original messages were her. I actually think the original messages were from Chloe. I do. I think the original messages were from Chloe. Kendra found out about it. Chloe stopped after maybe a couple. Kendra found out about it and thought, well, what she's saying is she thought that she could be able to pull out the bully and or the person who was sending the messages and see, like, I'll send a text message, see whose phone goes off, or see who's really reacting and talking about it, be able to figure it out. But I think after a while, Kendra was releasing her anger to her daughter in a way that was safe and for her, and that she would never get found out about it. But that's my thought. I think Chloe is the one who actually was sending the original nasty messages. The ones that weren't as nasty, they were just kind of rude. And then Kendra just took it to a whole other level. You know, Chloe's parents blame the police for not doing their job, but what are they supposed to do? Snatch everybody's phones up? I mean, the parents wanted to go to the school and question other kids, and the principal was like, absolutely not. Like, I can't let you guys do that. But really interesting doc. I definitely recommend you watching it. But if you just watch this, spoiler alert, you know everything that happened, but still watch it. It's an interesting story. So drop them in the comments. Let me know your thought. Let me know if you respect my theory, if my theory makes sense. Let me know your thoughts on Kendra and her boldness to even be in this documentary, because I would have gone to the grave with this, but that's just my thought. So I'm your girl Kia, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, see you later.